But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello, and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. Hello, Badger. Good to see you. Again. Oh, well. Stay however long you can, and the VOD will always be there. So, how's everybody doing today? I have a few potentially interesting options to look at today. I mean, yesterday we were looking at Noah Samson's response to the Ethan Klein bogus lawsuit threat, which I thought was excellent. I think he touched on all the important points of why that was just such fucking bullshit. Now, there are a few interesting options I've seen here. Okay. We've got Loserbox reacting to the Ethan Hassan debate. Hey, Riveroon. We've got Ethan in Dear Hassan, You Lied Again. Let's see. We've also got, I just think this could be something delightful. They hate the Zionist students in Canada. The horrors of college campus. Anastasia Zor. That name does not ring a bell. I'm just going to look her up. Oh, she is the founder and president of the StartupNation.ca, so she's a pro-Israel shill. Yeah, that Startup Nation thing is really working out well for them at the moment. And I'm kind of interested in hearing the tears of a Hasboroid, but also, we could always look at some more Ethan. He's always good for, to induce vomiting if you haven't got syrup of Ipecac candy. I think we might start out with, they hate the Zionist students in Canada. Which sounds like a song title, actually. It sounds like this is a line from a musical.
I tried to reach her. I was like, I need to, until she answered, I was like, I need to, something's going on, don't leave the house, don't leave the house. Reports of, on October 8th, there was a protest already by the pro-Hamas people.
Hamas! We're going to get a lot of Hamas, I'm sure.
They were blocking a classroom, and she asked them if they're doing okay.
I saw them go down over there as well, and also
testimony. Wow. She was around pro-Palestinian anti-genocide protests in Canada, and she lived to tell the tale, apparently. See, you can tell that this is a harrowing story, because they used, this isn't even Courier font, this is typewriter font. with a bit of random kerning to make it look really typewritery. Yeah, that's how you can tell that this is going to be a harrowing testimony. I've never heard of this channel. This just showed up in my Rex.
What's your name?
My name is Anastasia Zochensky.
Where are you from?
I was born in Israel. I moved to Canada when I was 11, and now I live in Montreal.
Why'd you move to Canada?
Well, she's collecting the Settler Colonial box set.
My parents, I guess, just wanted to have like a fresh start somewhere.
So, in other words, it sounds like the Startup Nation was not actually a good start for them if they needed to go all the way across the ocean to get a fresh start, I just have to say. I mean, maybe it's just not a great place for settlers to be.
Did you grow up in a Zionist home?
Yeah, my home was Zionist, but we weren't religious. We were just kind of...
So, Joe, just sort of racist.
Traditional, because my parents came from the Soviet Union, so they never really had religion at home.
Did you go back and forth as a kid to Israel?
Actually, no. I only went back after 6 years.
So what year was it that you moved to Canada?
2016.
And you only went back in 2022?
Yes.
What prompted that trip?
I just finished high school, so I decided to go visit my family. I went on a Europe trip with my friends.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead. Let's see. Because so far, I mean, I don't really give a shit about any of this.
The whole day with my mom, and I came home. I was extremely, extremely tired. I was like about to go to sleep. Like the most tired I've ever been, probably. Like honestly, I'm not even kidding.
Birthday.
Yeah.
This is a solid birthday.
Oh, because we were walking all day, so I was like extremely tired. And my roommate and I just sat down and like I obviously it was very, very sad that
Watching this stuff unfold.
yeah.
What did you...
Station in the south, and that immediately, because the first photos I saw, unfortunately, like that whole night I stayed up on Telegram and I was watching what's going on, and I was on the phone with like my co-president Michael, and he was telling me like Anastasia, there's a war, like Anastasia, people are dying, and then
Wow, that is so wild. I mean, who would ever hear of people dying in Palestine? That never happens. Oh, I see what he means. He's saying people are dying because he doesn't consider the people who are dying all the time people.
I downloaded Telegram for the first time, and I saw like the first photo I saw, unfortunately, was of murdered elderlies at the bus station in the south, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna let my grandparents be those people like that. I can't. I have to inform them. I have to do something.
Yeah, it was, I would say, like 6:37 a.m. our time, which made it the middle of the night your time. So you had like a
Okay, so this is clearly an Israeli channel then, because 6:30 is when the Palestinian offensive began.
full night of staying awake watching this stuff unfold.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd never heard of this channel, but so, okay. This is a channel, I guess, that is dedicated to just pro-Israel propaganda then.
What did you feel in your gut? Did you feel helpless? Did you feel empowered? Did you feel sad? What was the emotion that you felt while you were scrolling up
Shall I list more emotions?
on your phone?
I felt responsible. Like I felt like some sort of responsibility wave hit me. I was
What the fuck does that mean?
like, okay, this is happening. I don't take it emotional. Like I obviously it was very, very sad, very, very sad. But the emotion like didn't transfer to like crying immediately. It was to have to do something. Like I have to do something. And it was it showed by me speaking to my grandparents and my sister. But then like next day we were on the phone and kind of like, okay, we have to do something. We have to do a vigil. We have to do. We saw what people were doing around the U.S. We were like, okay, we have to bring out signs. We have to do something. So it felt like we had responsibility to stand up.
Yeah, I mean, she's talking apparently about like the very first days. So this is actually before the propaganda machine really got going and started to manufacture all sorts of fake ass atrocities. So what they're mostly talking about here is like a vigil for the fence and soldiers who were in charge of starving Gaza.
Really, the Israelis of Concordia.
And what is the Startup Nation?
So Startup Nation, our first mission was really just to bring like.
This is as in her organization, not as in the Israeli propaganda campaign.
Business innovation, technology, culture of Israel to campus.
Oh, so yeah, okay, so
Started at Concordia, then we also came to McGill.
Was that prior to October 7th?
Exactly, that was prior to October 7th. After October 7th, our main mission was to fight anti-Semitism. And
by which, of course, she does not mean anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, Zionists are fine with.
Been forced to change.
I mean, did you see one of these fake-ass white Afrikaner refugees? There's so many fucking quotation marks for that. Who arrived in the U.S. His social media posts are full of two things. Talking about how much he hates Jews and talking about how much he loves Israel. And there is no contradiction there.
Exactly, it's been forced to change.
So bringing you back to October 2023. October 7th was a Saturday. October 8th was a Sunday. Bring me to October 9th, Monday. You start your school week again.
Yeah, October 9th would be when a lot of people got killed by the IDF as part of either their indiscriminate firing or because of the Hannibal Directive.
All this stuff's unfolding in Israel, but in Canada, other than in the Jewish community and in the Arab Muslim community,
He won't acknowledge that there's a Palestinian community.
there's not much context.
Of course.
School's running as normal. What was your Monday, October 9th like?
I couldn't go to school. Like, I couldn't go to class. I had zero desire to even sit in the class. Like, I had zero desire to come on campus. Because that same day, we were planning the first vigil downtown to happen on October 10th, on the Tuesday. And we put all of our energy and effort into making that vigil happen downtown. I think it was Victoria Square, or one of the, it's on Peel, on Peel Street.
Yeah, Victoria Square.
Yeah, Victoria Square. So
I'm gonna speed this up. Because this is...
Bring me through the week. Well, actually, no, you say there's war, that's it. You're living in Canada. And why for you, as a person who's living in Canada, is it war, that's it?
Like... What? I don't even understand the fucking question.
Because I'm in Canada, but my identity is still with me. I'm still Israeli. I'm still Jewish. I am still the only Israeli club at Concordia University. I'm still one of the only Israelis in the group of Israelis. And also, I was the president and founder of the town. I didn't have a co-president. I didn't have a co-founder. I felt like we could not just not do anything. We had to take action. So, yeah, again, the sense of responsibility that wave just hit me in. Yeah.
Did you have students, because you're the president or co-president of Star Nation, did you have students looking to you right away?
Bonsoir.
Exactly. People were like, what are we going to do? What's the plan?
We're looking at somebody who heads a student pro-Israel propaganda organization in Montreal.
And what is happening? Like, people were like, I hope everything's okay. I hope everything's happening. Like, everything's okay with you guys. But yeah, immediately we felt like people were like looking up to us and thinking, okay, you have to do something. At the same time, it also felt like.
What you say? You're talking about other Jewish students?
Yes, other Jewish students. Yeah.
Oh well, I mean pro-Israel Jewish students.
Reports of on October 8th there was a protest already by the pro-Hamas people in Montreal. So we understood that we didn't understand it quite well at the time. Obviously, very early, but we understood that we're under a threat.
A threat. Oh wow, right. I mean, because first the Palestinian resistance takes Be'eri, and I mean obviously next they're going to be coming for Frontignac. They're going to be coming for Hochelaga. I mean that's just. I mean clearly there's a threat.
We have to do something.
So post October 7th, it's fair to say that the can of worms opened up, and all this anti-Israel, anti-Jewish.
Yeah, right. He's conflating them, of course.
Exploded. And did you feel physically threatened, or did you feel ideologically threatened, or both?
Both for sure.
Ideologically threatened. Now, there's an interesting concept.
Sure, for sure, both. The first time I felt threatened was
ideologically threatened.
Actually, October 13th. The day after, before October 12th.
October 12th and 13th. That would have been like one of the third televised interviews with Yasmin Porat of Kibbutz Be'eri, where she's talking about how actually the Palestinian resistance treated them really well, and the only reason people died in Be'eri was that the IDF killed them.
When the pro-Hamas people were planning like a jihad day. It was
I'm
on
sh-
Friday.
Friday the 13th.
A jihad. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was called. A jihad
Friday
day.
the 13th, the jihad day. Friday I felt threatened because my family, they felt threatened for me before. They were like,
Like, okay, I'm sure that this is what they called it. I'm sure that is absolutely like what they called it, right? Is she gonna like say what it actually was?
they started calling me Anastasia. You're coming to Ottawa tonight. You're not staying in your apartment alone because I was alone. You're not staying there alone.
Oh, shut the
You're
fuck!
going tonight.
Yeah.
You're recognizable. People know who you are. Like when you're one person, when you're 6 person team leading the only ready, you're like, when 35,000.
When you're like a professional propagandist for a regime that has announced that they're going to be committing genocide.
University, people know who you are. So immediately my parents were like, you're coming home. Like, I don't care. Like, you have to drop everything.
I mean, there were huge protests in Ottawa too. Like, what fucking difference?
I'm ordering you a train ticket today. You're going. And for an hour, I was thinking, like, do what my parents want me to do and be a good kid, or stand up for my community and not back down and not be, like, I'm like in my head, it's like I have to lead. I have no other choice.
Well, I mean, you did though. You could have actually listened to what the leaders of this regime were saying they were going to do and realized that this is not a regime you should be supporting, and certainly you should not be doing propaganda for it. You could have done that. That was an option. That was always an option.
Do I back down and show people that I'm just gonna abandon them? So I called my parents, and they were very disappointed by that to say. And I felt obviously worried. I didn't know what was going on. It was just a few days after we were started. I've never had something like
Wow,
that.
I mean,
So for that whole
I feel like this is stolen valor, but I also have spent time in Montreal. Like, I mean, she survived. She was in Montreal. Elle a survécu Montréal, tabarnak. Yeah, I feel like now when I bring up that I've been to Montreal, it's like stolen valor.
was like,
Hello, Louisa Ruth. I know you from the comments. I don't know if I've seen you in chat before. How you doing? We're watching a student Hasboroid from Montreal talk about how she decided to stay on the front lines of Saint Laurent rather than retreating to Ottawa because she's just.
Self-defense. What do I do if someone's gonna come to my apartment? Who do I call? Like, immediately plans in my head of like, ABCD, this is what's gonna happen. If this happens, this is
I like these Darman style subs.
what I'm gonna do. So.
God, I mean, just listening to this, it's like you listen to what's actually been happening to, I mean, not, Palestinians obviously, but like supporters of Palestinian rights all over the US and Canada and other places. And she's sitting here talking about how threatened she feels. I mean, clearly not a hair on her has been touched. Charlotte Cates of Samidoun, they had a fucking SWAT team attack her house in Vancouver. Like, shut the fuck up about the threats you feel.
Yeah. Physically, ideologically, I think that ideology that definitely contributes to the physical threat. So, yeah.
Starts psychologically. I mean,
Like, we have not actually heard any example of her being threatened yet. This is just entirely,
the word terrorist is the word terrorize. So
yeah, I mean, isn't it interesting how that's basically never a word that these groups use to describe themselves? It's just a word that people who don't like them use to refer to them.
Well, and my unprofessional security opinion, if you're gonna wrap your face with a keffiyeh and scream in the streets, you're likely also not going to be the same person who's going to do physical harm.
Wow, I mean, that's so big of him to admit that, yeah, actually people who are protesting against a genocide probably are not necessarily, like, fucking 30 to 35 feral hogs.
It's usually the dogs who bark the loudest, like the least, but it was probably still very scary for you.
Oh, I mean, like, even he can't completely take this seriously.
especially having the voice of your parents in your ear, and you debating, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it?
Right.
Now bring me through October, November.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so we get through October, and so she was. It seems that she was like imaginarily threatened more than anything else. Like, if there was anything that actually happened, I'm sure we would have heard about it.
November, and I want to say the rest of the year, because life changed for you clearly after October 7th.
We haven't exactly seen how, except that her parents wanted her to come back to Ottawa.
It didn't just change where you became unrecognizable or you stopped being a leader. What did the year look like for you, 2023 and 2024, as the co-president of Startup Nation?
So for the first few months,
Startup Nation is if anyone's just joining, in addition to being like a not particularly successful pro-Israel propaganda campaign about what a great place it is to start a tech business. I mean, at this point, the tech businesses are kind of dropping like flies. At some of the liberal Zionist protests in Israel, they had a sign saying, "Gone from Startup Nation to Shutdown Nation." But anyway, so she started a student group at, I guess, Concordia in Montreal, and they spread to McGill, also in Montreal, for anyone who is not familiar with the Canadian university landscape, to do pro-Israel propaganda.
we were working nonstop. It wasn't.
And so far, she felt ideologically threatened, but she wasn't threatened. Nobody threatened her. At least she hasn't told us about it.
It was me, Mikhail, and then so many other people were joining us as well, like Nicole Kristova and Diana Levitin joined us as well. We were a small team, but a very effective team. But we were working day and night. Like, literally, I remember we would have sleep.
Like,
Nice.
I feel like usually in the advance of this sort of interview, especially if it's being done for propagandistic purposes, the interviewer will have a chat to the person they're interviewing and make sure to note certain events that they want to ask them about. So if there was something that actually happened to justify that the horrors of being a Zionist student in Canada in the thumbnail, we would have heard about it, I'm sure.
We had nothing. We had no funding, no support. No one really knew who we were. People actually didn't want to support us in the beginning because we were doing things that people didn't like.
Oh, you mean like supporting a fucking genocidal racist regime?
We weren't doing the safest things for the community, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, what would have been much safer for the community, what would be much safer for the community is to come out clearly against this.
When you say you were doing things or you were working day and night, what were you working on? What were you doing?
Because if you come out clearly against this, then it is much harder for anyone to attribute this to all of us.
So we were planning different events. Like, we were planning on how we can make the students feel safe on campus. Like, what do we do? Because we have so many people, so many pro-Hamas students who are against us and pose a daily threat on our freedom.
A daily threat, and yet he's had to skip over like several months and entire years. We have not heard one single event.
Our rights and our education and our lives. So
Wow.
We didn't know the extent at the time. Now we know because we had so many different applications and incidents.
None of which we have heard of. We're 16 minutes into this thing.
So we know that exactly as you said, like, they bark the loudest, but they actually they don't bite.
Wait, you just said you had altercations and now you're saying there were no altercations? Like, what?
But we would work on events, protests, immediately. So we had actually on November 8th, we had a table, we set up a Shabbat table on campus. The first time someone brought an Israeli flag to campus in years. 10 minutes later, the biggest agitator at Concordia comes there and starts screaming at us. Hundreds of Palestinians.
What, you mean because you decided to use a Jewish tradition as this human shield for this genocidal regime? Like, yeah, people are gonna have words with you.
It's come, and suddenly it's one of the biggest incidents in Canada thus far on campuses because of this war.
I remember.
Wait, okay, but what's the incident? So people protested you? Like, you clearly understood that bringing the flag of this regime out there was going to be a provocation.
We're saying that, when I was in Israel, seeing Montreal Concordia University, and I was like, wow, not really what I thought Montreal would be known for.
Wait, you didn't know that Montreal was known for a pretty good protest culture?
I thought maybe poutine or, you know.
Did they proofread these fucking subtitles at all? Look at this. Look at what it says for Putin. Let me make sure you can actually see that. Yeah, you can see it says Putin. As in Vladimir. It's Putin, Poutine, which funnily enough is also how you spell his name in French.
It's French and it's culture, not its anti-Semitism. What do you feel?
Well, we haven't had a single example of anti-Semitism yet, it's worth noting. For anyone who's coming, we haven't had a single example of really anything. She brought an Israeli flag to a Shabbos thing. You know, publicly displayed an Israeli flag in the middle of the genocide. And there was some protest. And that's it. Other than that, she said she felt ideologically threatened. She felt threatened. And nobody actually, she hasn't given an example of anyone actually threatening her.
Because I remember there was a video of that Israeli flag being pulled, and everything just erupted.
Yeah.
What did you feel in that moment as you were trying to bring a sense of community?
Yeah, I'm sure, like, you're bringing a sense of community by waving the flag of a regime that at that point, you know, for months is murdering like 10,000 people a month.
To the Jewish students and to the pro-Israeli students on campus. And
I mean, I do have to say, I do kind of give this guy points for distinguishing between those things, because a lot of the time in this kind of propaganda, they will treat pro-Israel and Jewish as if it's the same group, when the absolute, like, vast majority of any group of pro-Israel people is not going to be Jewish.
You have all these people screaming, shouting, screaming for your death, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see. Have we got any footage of that?
What did you feel in that moment?
I actually didn't feel anything in that moment.
Like, I mean, I wonder what. Maybe we could get into why do you think they were pissed off, actually? Was anything going on at the time that you decided to wave the flag of this regime around in the middle of campus? Was there anything going on that might have set people off about that? Like, I don't know, like a big fucking genocide or something? Just asking.
When I was there, I couldn't feel. I was just.
The title of this video is "They Hate the Zionist Students in Canada," and I just can't help thinking that that's like you could sing that almost to the tune of a Toto song.
There, I was in shock. Like, I was in absolute shock.
You know, why were you in shock? Why were you even surprised? We just started with the idea that you were like your parents tried to recall you to Ottawa. Because of you felt ideologically threatened. So and you're shocked that as the head of a pro-Israel organization, waving around the flag of this regime in the midst of this was going to piss people off? Really? You're shocked about that?
And it was like just a stressful situation, constant shock, and also like the thought of like, please, like, no one like do anything to any of the students, like, don't beat them up, like, don't let this get worse, like, worse than it all.
Yeah, you mean, see, it's worth noting that, I mean, I guess when she's saying don't let anyone beat up the students, is she talking about the students who were, she must be talking about the students who were taking the flag, because that's like the only people getting their asses kicked by anyone, like, and the only people getting beaten up by cops.
Yes, because people were already getting screamed at and punched and everything, and I didn't want it to continue. The first thing I think that came to my mind is like, okay, how do we prevent this from getting worse? So I told the students of Concordia, can you please call the police? Why is the police not here? It's been hours. 7 minutes, I'm sorry.
If he couldn't do anything, who couldn't do anything?
Exactly. If he couldn't do anything, who am I? You know, like, to...
Really? I mean, this already, like, if anyone's quelqu'un connaît quelqu'un qui participait de cette manif à l'Université Concordia à Montréal, je voudrais bien savoir si l'expérience que vous avez pendant cette manifestation était la même qu'elle raconte ici. Parce que j'en doute. J'en doute sérieusement. Appelez-moi.
I mean, this was like, I don't want to say it was my fault, but it was like.
And let me just say in English there, like, if anyone was at this thing, or knows somebody who was at this thing, at the, like, pro-Palestinian protest and stuff, I would be very interested in knowing if what she's describing at all concords with your experience of it, because I kind of seriously fucking doubt it.
I made it happen. I booked that table. I pressed the button. We pulled it together. Like, now I'm responsible.
Do you feel that if somebody
She broke the table, she pressed the button?
got seriously injured, stabbed, shot, beaten up?
I mean, we've not heard any evidence that anyone was likely to get stabbed or shot or beaten up.
That would have been on you.
Yes.
Looking back.
In that moment, yes, looking back in that moment specifically, I knew it would be on me. Now I know it's not on me, it's on the university.
Which is so interesting because when Zionists talk about what Israel and the U.S. are doing to Palestinians in Gaza, somehow it's always the resistance's fault. Even when they actually have to acknowledge, when they do not just deny what happens, it's somehow always the resistance's fault. Here, she decides to do a massive racist provocation in the middle of campus, in the middle of a genocide, but actually it's the university's fault.
Why do the university not enforce its rules? Why do the university even let this?
Yeah, well, yeah, if the university I'm sure they have rules against, like, hate speech and racism, and if they enforced that, she wouldn't have been allowed to set up her table with that flag.
Happen? Why did the university to this day not even expel one student from that incident?
Probably because it didn't go down the way you claim it did.
How come there's one student who's been going to Kuwait for 10 years, taking one course a semester, agitating Jewish students, specifically Jewish students, known for agitating, known for supporting Hamas?
Wait, okay. So what?
Like, literally just vocally supporting it. Why is
So vocally,
so excluded? Now I know it's not me who actually perpetrated this, it's the university who allowed this
wait,
to happen.
yeah, I mean, they should not have allowed you to set up with that racist flag.
And I understand you have been involved with the successful reception of an injunction and the lawsuit against Concordia. If I understand correctly, it's two separate kind of legal battles that you're going after. One is the injunction, and the other is against Concordia.
So we had like some emergency injunctions, yes. Like we had one actually on October 7th, 2024, where it was granted for us to be able to go on campus.
You didn't, yeah. So an injunction to be able to go on campus. You were already on campus.
For Jewish students to be able to go on campus.
Which they already could. You didn't need an injunction for that.
Because of like the hate that they were.
This is literally on the 7th of October, so nothing fucking had happened yet.
Training, basically, that several events happening on June 7th. And we have a separate lawsuit that's focused on Syria Concordia University and its president, Graham Carr, for them, basically, in the most simple words, it's a long lawsuit. But it's basically for the university to enforce its own policies when it comes to Jewish students. Because
you mean like the, probably they have some kind of anti-racism policy officially, which, if they applied it consistently, would actually result in her group being banned.
They don't. They let people wear masks when they can't wear masks. It's it.
Which, wow, so they actually have some concern for public health.
The policy, you can't hide your identity on campus.
Interesting. Bring me back, though, before we get into the actual lawsuit and the legal stuff. What was the process for you? You know, you had just...
We still have not actually had a single incident where she was even physically threatened. Just where she felt uncomfortable because there were anti-racist protests nearby where she was being racist.
You're just this student who's a simple girl who...
just wanted to do propaganda for a racist genocidal regime.
Wanted to go to campus and...
Yeah, a simple... Wait. But we've established she's not a simple girl who wanted to go to campus. That's such a weird way of putting it. We'll leave that aside for the moment. But the point is, She was the head of a pro-Israel propaganda organization. That was just how you fucking introduced her. So no, she isn't just some random student.
And now you find yourself in a situation where all these eyes are on you, you're leading this charge. Bring me through the process of you involving yourself with lawyers and being the one to now hold the torch of, I'm going to protect you through...
Protect who? We haven't seen any evidence that anyone actually requires protection.
Legal means, and I have access to justice. I'm going to use that the right way. What was that like for you? How did that unfold, and how did you end up
we're 21 minutes in, and there's still really, like, if there was any really concrete thing that happened to her, surely we would have heard some of it by now.
In this situation where you're going through with this lawsuit?
So I think, like, even though we have a lawsuit, it didn't make me feel like we had to lead any less or to have any less responsibility. Like, I didn't feel like now, like, all the weight on my shoulders has been, like, given to my lawyers. Not at all, honestly.
But how did you get...
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up. Pro-Israel lawsuit Concordia. Oh, okay, so they sued the student union as well for... Let me see. Two Concordia students and one professor are leading the application and requested anonymity in legal proceedings because they fear retaliation. Well, we know who one of the students is, clearly. Okay, they're not actually... Okay, this article from CTV News does not seem to suggest that this lawsuit actually lists a single actual concrete incident of any kind of actual anti-Semitism or anything, really. Okay. Concordia Student Union faces legal action after trying to revoke Startup Nation's club status. Okay, this is interesting because this is the racist group that she leads. I'm gonna put this up on screen. And we can learn together. Here. Drop that link in chat as well if you want to follow along at home. Okay, so Startup Nation decided to bring in a pro-genocide propagandist who was in the IOF. And people protested that. He was, to appear at a tabling event in the Hall Building mezzanine of Concordia's campus on December 3rd. CSU canceled the reservation. Despite the student union's cancellation, Startup Nation proceeded with the event in a public area separate from the reserved space in the same building. They did not... He says they didn't break any rules. What Ishayek said, one protester directed inflammatory remarks at a participant saying, "I hope your mom will die," supposedly. Another video shows a protester wearing a keffiyeh, pointing at Haddad and supposedly making a throat-slitting gesture. They're not showing us any, like, clips of this. It's worth noting. Yeah. On December 3rd, so the student union said that they withheld essential information on their booking application regarding external guests. So apparently, according to the CSU anyway, I guess they didn't mention that they were going to be bringing Haddad in there, who is just a vile pro-Israel propagandist. Okay, see you later. Good to see you always, Badger. Oh, okay, we've got some video. Oh, from the white supremacist rebel news. Okay, so we have some video of this event here.
The bottom line is like this. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, or you're a Jew. If you're against their ideology, you're a traitor, you're an extremist, you're a collaborator, and you should be dead. That's what they think.
Well, I mean, he is a collaborator. Yeah, I mean, he was in the fucking IOF.
What?
He is a Palestinian citizen of Israel who joined the fucking IDF. Yeah, I mean, I would say Palestinians have every right to be pissed off at him. And he's been justifying the genocide as well. Fucking pick me. Yeah, fuck that guy. Okay, so it seems like maybe Startup Nation may not have had entirely clean hands. Fancy that.
Engage. Why did you choose to get involved with lawyers? Like, tell me about that process.
For sure. So, basically, we started understanding that by students being bullied on a daily basis, being threatened on daily basis, being
This is the first time she's mentioned any of this.
beaten on November 8th.
Like, this is supposedly what this interview is about, and we don't get any mention of this?
So many incidents happening, and nothing was actually being done by the university. So we understood that we had no other choice. Our freedoms, our rights, our sovereignty weren't taken seriously.
Their sovereignty?
They were taken away from us. The university and the Pro-Hamas students are both.
Their sovereignty? What the fuck? What
Hamas
is...
students are making
Is a pro-Israel student group a country now?
these situations happen. They're the ones that has. The university allows.
Oh, well, so the fact that you're supporting a genocide, you don't think has anything to do with why they're at all pissed off at you?
To actually occur allows this environment. So we understood since our freedoms are being taken away, the only solution is to actually.
Let's just remember, in Montreal, just to give some context here, there's a journalist by the name of Yves Engler. And he wrote an article about a particularly nasty extremist pro-Israel propagandist, Dahlia something or other, I forget her name. For writing about her, the Montreal police arrested him, tried to get him to force him to agree as a condition of bail to, like, basically give up journalism. And he refused, and he wrote about the threats that he was getting from the Montreal police for doing journalism. And then they arrested him for that. That's the sort of thing, when we're talking about the freedoms taken away and everything in Montreal, I mean, I just can't help but think that there's a bit of lopsidedness here, because it seems like more of the freedoms are being taken away on the side of the people who are against the genocide, actually.
So we had no other choice, basically. We truly had no other choice, and we are lucky to have the best lawyers, Michael Hollander and Violin, who've been there by our side at every single incident, every single thing we needed that we couldn't do ourselves, because we can't fight the university. It's, honestly, the legal way is the only way possible, and it still is.
Did you believe in a two-state solution prior to October 7th?
So, actually, to be completely honest with you, I didn't even think about that stuff.
Wait, so you didn't even think about the fact that there were Palestinians and they might have some, like, legitimate issues with what's going on? Like, the first time you ever really seriously considered that there are Palestinians in the country you're doing propaganda for was October 7th?
October 7th. Like, realistically, I actually didn't think about it, but I always believed that peace is always a solution, no matter with who you are, where you
What? Yeah, but what the fuck does that mean? Peace is always a solution.
are, in a way. That's what I believe. It's like I always wanted things to be resolved. I didn't think about the solution.
So she just wanted things to be resolved. Like, what does that mean exactly?
It's because politics didn't really interest me back then.
Wait, you were the head of a pro-Israel propaganda group and politics didn't interest you? What does that mean? How does that work? Because that's kind of a political thing to be doing.
It was more of like actually bringing the core of the country to Canada.
Yeah, there's nothing political about that.
So you, if it's fair and if I understand, you culturally wanted to bring Israel to Canada in a sense, food, taste, dance, music.
Racist TikTok videos.
Business, like listen, people like money. People want to know more about how they can make more resources. So I wanted to bring that aspect of Israel to Canada, to campus, because I knew people would like to get more involved with Israel. They learn more about how they can actually benefit from
the startup world innovation.
So okay, wow. So like her whole thing was that's such a great moral appeal there. Like come to the racist settler state, the one that is explicitly an ethno state, because you can make a lot of money there. Wow, I mean, gee, fucking just a moral vision that's just palpable.
The technology,
exactly.
Medicine. You weren't so concerned with politics,
at
but
all.
you were
The politics, like whose country it is and what's happening to the people whose country it is.
Forced into this situation
exactly.
because of your leadership. Okay.
Exactly. Actually,
so now I'm starting to understand Anastasia.
I wasn't involved in politics at all.
What do you think you were doing? Like doing propaganda for a state is politics. It doesn't matter what state it is. There is something political going on. It is, I don't care if it's a state that's not doing any. I mean, I don't think there's such a thing, but like theoretically, let's just say a state that's not doing, say, genocide. It could be fucking St. Kitts and Nevis. It doesn't fucking matter. There is something political going on there because you are doing propaganda for the state.
At all. The first meeting I had with the Consul General of Israel, to talk about my club, because I wanted to know his opinion. Like, hey, I'm opening this club in Korea. Like, I think you should know what I'm doing.
They didn't proofread this at all. She said, hey, I am opening this club in Korea. No, she didn't. She said Concordia for fuck. Like, proofread your subs.
I told him I don't want it to be about politics at all.
Wow, she doesn't want it to be about politics at all, but she's talking to the Consul General of Israel. Wow, I mean, no politics at all here. Like, she's just talking to one of the most senior representatives of the Zionist state in Canada.
I wanted to be just the core of Israel outside of politics.
Elon Musk tweeted a few years ago. Irony has a way with fate.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, it's so true. That's such an ironic thing. Like, she wanted to do propaganda for a state, and it turned out to be political anyway. I mean, it's like a fucking Greek tragedy, this is.
I couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
But listen, it's not because I didn't care about politics. It's just...
Like, what do you mean by politics, though? I mean, okay... Because she was using the word politics when he asked, like, before October 7th, did you believe in a two-state solution? Which I thought was interesting. And she's like, oh, I didn't think about politics at all. So she wasn't thinking about, like, the fact that there are millions of Palestinians being treated like shit by this colonial regime that she's doing propaganda for. That's the politics she's talking about.
Something that I found...
And then when she was confronted by the politics, or people who support the politics, she felt ideologically threatened. And I can actually see why, because her entire worldview has been set up around pretending that there aren't Palestinians.
Be a benefit to bring to
or that they don't matter.
Going back to October 7th, and, you you said it. You didn't process what was happening in Israel and what was forthcoming here. You must have had a moment, a day, a time, an experience where you were like, "Oh wow, this is real. It's bad."
Yeah, 25 minutes in, it would be good to have some example of an experience where she actually has reason to be threatened.
Out on campus, the Jews aren't safe. The pro-Israeli students aren't safe. The pro-Hamas students, or pro-Palestinian students, don't like us. Tell me about that day, that shift in your mind where you said to yourself, "This is real."
So, of course, November 8th would be that day. The riot at Concordia would be.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to look this up. November. I'm just looking to see if we've got any. Okay, Montreal Gazette. Two non-students banned from campus. Clash between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian students. An arrest and several injuries. There was shoving and tense exchanges. Both groups involved, Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights and Startup Nation, that's her group, maintained they did not expect the other group to be there and had no intention to engage in conflict. Okay. Student groups. Okay, what really happened? Student groups have different views. Not surprising. Okay, they both say they were initially unaware that they had booked tables for the same date and time. The group had booked a table to sell. The Students for Palestinian Human Rights had booked a table to sell kefiyehs to raise funds for humanitarian aid for Gaza. Okay. At the beginning, everything was calm. The SPHR spokesperson told the Montreal Gazette it was supposed to be peaceful. We were just raising funds. We were not there to protest. With our group, we have a non-confrontation policy. She added, SPHR discovered in the aftermath that Startup Nation had booked a table before they did, but no one knew at the time. We could have done the sale another day. It wasn't a problem for us, the spokesperson said. Ah, okay. So this is the Shabbat thing that she's talking about, where she put up a pro-Israel flag. I'm guessing. In a statement following the altercation, let me see. Not finding their published statement. I was hoping they had a website. Okay, let me just drop what so SPHR, Students for Palestinian Human Rights, say that this started because pro-Israel white supremacists started throwing racist comments at them.
One of those days, but so many days, honestly, so many days have impacted me to think that way, but the one that impacted me the most was March 4th of 2024.
Okay, March. Okay, pro-Palestinian protesters barricade IDF reserve soldiers event. So they brought in some people actually directly involved in the genocide, and protesters blocked the entrance to keep them out. So, I mean, good. Like, maybe don't bring fucking war criminals to a campus if you don't want people to try to stop them speaking.
March 4th, we wanted to bring 3 Israeli soldiers to campus to actually just talk about their diplomatic mission.
Their diplomatic mission.
It wasn't specifically about what they do during the war.
So, you don't see how that's kind of fucked up? So, you're bringing these IOF goons over, and you're going to just pretend that what they do in Gaza is not a topic at the time when they're doing genocide in Gaza? Like, that's a bit fucked up, don't you think?
Anything aggressive. They didn't want to bring any aggression on campus.
They didn't want to bring any aggression on campus. Like, they are the aggression on campus.
Please talk about their diplomatic mission. Concordia canceled our event.
Good. They should have. They also should have referred these goons for prosecution.
And we had to move that event to the Federation Building, which is connected to the Holocaust Museum as well.
Which, I mean, is fucked up, actually, because you should not be doing events like this in a space like that. Because, I mean, what you're doing when you do that, it's the same thing when these groups, when these, like, Zionist estate agents selling stolen land in the West Bank, choose synagogues as the venue for it. They're using Jewish community spaces as like shields for their racist activities, and they should not do that. Like, it is, you know, they want to do that so they can then say, oh, people were protesting the synagogue, people were protesting the Holocaust Museum. No, they were protesting the fucked up shit that you were doing, abusing that space.
And that day, we didn't understand, like, before that day, we didn't understand the extent of the hate. We really didn't.
You didn't understand that people in the middle of a genocide might be pissed off that you decided to have a little fucking photo of a meet and greet with some of the people committing the genocide?
But the Federation Building is like a 20-minute drive minimum from Concordia. The haters, the pro-Hamas students, followed us to that building, surrounded that building for 4 hours.
Good.
No one could get out or get in. I was stuck in that building for 4 hours.
Well, I mean, you had 4 hours to think about how maybe not bringing fucking war criminals to campus might have been a better move. Think what you could have been doing for this 4 hours. You could have been having poutine.
4 hours in a dark little room at night with a few other people, and we were...
And they were war criminals. I mean, yeah, I can understand that would be scary to be in a room with them for 4 hours stuck. So the idea is maybe don't invite them.
Simply surrounded, the police couldn't even handle the situation. And in that moment, I was like, sorry, my language, holy shit, what is happening in this country?
Well, what happened was you brought some war criminals to have a meet and greet, and people in the middle of a genocide that they're personally responsible for, and people don't like that. Like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? You thought that that was going to be cool? Because they're not going to talk about the genocide they did? Like, they still fucking did it.
Why do I have to hide? Why is the police not letting us out? I'm hiding in the Jewish Federation Building of Montreal because of pro-Hamas, anti-Semitic...
She has not given any reason to believe anyone was anti-Semitic.
...mobs outside that are surrounding this building. Is there not enough police to take care of the situation.
Why can't people do more violence to anti-racist protesters? I was just trying to have a pro-genocide event. They weren't even going to talk about the genocide they're doing. They were going to talk about other stuff. They were going to talk about their diplomatic mission. You know, big fucking diplomats. Why couldn't the cops just beat the shit out of everybody who objects to me hosting war criminals?
Does the government not care about us? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening?
God.
So, when we got out, it gets worse. It gets worse than this.
Like, okay, because it hasn't been particularly bad yet. So you did some fucked up shit, and people were mad at you. That's as bad. I was hoping it would get worse.
We got out, and we had no idea what was happening outside. Like, we didn't know. We were just stuck inside. The connection was pretty bad on our phones too, inside. And
Oh shit, their connection was bad on their phones.
That's because you were in a safe room?
We weren't in a safe room. We were just like in the center of the building. I guess it's not that good there. We got out. The police abandoned us. The police just drove on their bikes away. We were on the side of the building, and suddenly we were getting surrounded by the mobs that were waiting for us outside.
We, meaning her and 2 war criminals.
We were getting recognized, obviously, because who did they come for?
They came for you and the war criminals.
Nation's event with the Plight, the 3
3 war criminals, sorry.
And we started getting screams from different sides, and all these mobs calling their friends to come in Arabic and different, like, saying,
Wow.
with blood, with this, we'll do what Allah help.
That's not what it is. It's okay. What she's saying is the slogan is like with our hearts, with our blood, we're with you, Palestine. Or with our blood, with our soul, we're with you, Palestine. Like Biruch bidam labayki Palestine, something like that.
Like all these things, we were like, okay, we have to get our shit together. We have to understand what we're doing.
Well, what they were doing was protesting the fact that you brought these fucking murderers.
And obviously, like, this is a bad story, but we were, you know, it didn't stop us from continuing. But basically, our friend was like driving by, and we always got into the car, but there was like not enough space for all of us, so we kept walking.
Oh god, there was not enough space for them in the car, chat. Like, where's the sad music?
And then we saw the police in the corner, and the police literally told us, stay away from us, we don't know who you are. They thought we were the protesters. So we were like, okay, we are alone.
Well, if they thought you were the protesters, and all they said was stay away, then, I mean, she can count herself lucky, because the cops in Montreal with protesters are not nice. They are extremely violent.
We are alone in this, and from different sides, getting surrounded, getting followed. And we did like half a circle around the building, and suddenly we see the Israeli friends that couldn't get into the building this whole time for 4 hours were protesting with Israeli flags outside of the building.
And so nothing was happening to them. Wow, I mean, that sounds terrifying. So nothing was happening. The protesters were just protesting.
Waiting for us. And
oh, wow. 2 link spammer both days. Okay, bye, link spammer.
We were just in shock because we had no idea that they waited for us to get out, that they were there protesting against the mob.
Protesting for the genocide?
Because it's like usually also us who bring the Israeli flag and do something, but now other people started doing.
Yeah, like, so this is like the worst event she can come up with the thing that is so fucking scary and everything. And she just acknowledged that there was a whole bunch of like racists with Israeli flags outside, within full reach of the protesters who were there to protest the presence of literal war criminals, people involved in the genocide in Gaza, who were going to do a meet and greet and not even acknowledge what they were doing. Those people were just fine. They were just standing outside waiting, and nothing happened to them. I mean, like, it's amazing that she survived, really.
Me too, and it just, in that moment I was like, wow, it's beyond campus.
Wow, you mean this genocide that is condemned by billions of people is a topic outside of the campus of Concordia University in Montreal. That must have been such an amazing epiphany for you.
It's beyond campus. It's beyond. It's not beyond what we can do, because actually in May we went to Parliament. We'll get into that later as well. But yeah.
So it was that moment where you're like, wow, this is real.
It's real. It's
citywide.
It's fucking worldwide. Like,
it's citywide. It's nationwide.
yeah, it's like people are really pissed off about genocide. And you're a genocide supporter.
Problem. It's a real deep problem.
Did it change your course of action with Startup Nation, or were you just more reaffirmed that what you were doing is necessary?
Exactly, we were more reaffirmed, and we decided to stay as not aggressive, just as we are, and more.
So just racist.
Decided to do more. More people joined us too after that. Actually, a lot of people started seeing like, okay, a lot of people started realizing too, like we have to join them. We have to help them. We have to help the students. We can't do this alone. So we got really lucky. We had way more people like join the boat.
Wow, they got so lucky. Like, they were inside the building, and they could have been amongst the people outside the building that nothing happened to. But fortunately, they were inside the building with the war criminals.
Since October 7th, I know you visited Israel.
Yeah.
We met up in Israel. When was that?
I'm shocked.
I don't remember.
That was in July.
It was July? Okay. Yeah. Because I wasn't saw. I was going to say about June. When you landed in Israel, you spent the whole year, more or less, at least full academic year, more fighting for a voice here in Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, because if there's one thing if there's one group of people who just have no voice in Canada, it's supporters of Israel.
Land in Israel. What did you feel?
This is like the best feeling, When you land in Israel, it's the best feeling, but this time, it felt like I can finally breathe again. Like I can finally not worry about anything. Not worry about walking on the street and looking back.
Wait, this is what she's thinking?
Not worrying about literally anything. I was like, wow, finally. It's just I have a few weeks now that I can just be myself without worrying about it.
That really says a lot about what kind of self herself is, actually. Given the just utterly horrific climate in Israeli society.
Was the experience that you had in Israel, I know we visited the South, were there times that you felt
So they were within eyeshot of the genocide.
scared? There's a war going on.
Yeah, there's a war.
There's a war going on. There's hostages that are sitting in Gaza at this time.
Who, if it were up to the resistance, would have already been released.
There still are. There's a war. There's people fighting outside. Like, did you feel scared?
No, I actually. I don't know if I told anyone, but I feel more scared in Canada than in Israel.
Wow, I mean, which is already saying so. That says so much in so many different directions. It requires unpacking, because it's like, okay, first of all, she is not given any reason she should actually feel scared in Canada. Nobody has actually done anything to her. Nobody, I mean, even at what she described as the worst event, nobody touched her. They protested. Like, there was a group of pro-Israel ghouls standing out there the whole time. Nobody touched them either. They were just waiting. So she feels more afraid in Canada than in Israel, which really says something about just how terrifying the situation, the horrible war that Israel is facing, that apparently it's not as bad as being a student at Concordia. I mean, and the thing is, what's really bizarre about this as well is we're talking about a time when the resistance activist was much more active, and so, I mean, and there have been at all times during this genocide rockets and missiles being fired at targets within Israel, and she's saying, that none of that it was as bad as being a student at Concordia either.
And a lot of people actually start saying that now. It's not just me. People feel more scared in Canada than in Israel.
Which is funny because actually there's a huge exodus of people from Israel, of Jews from Israel.
Or in the south, it was, it was still war. Like people weren't driving to those kibbutzim. It was just us. We were stopped. They were asking us questions like, "Why are you coming here?"
Yeah, it's a closed military zone.
No, I didn't feel scared. It just felt like it felt really sad. It felt really interesting to be there, but fear wasn't really what went in my head. And actually, like when I was in Israel, I tried to meet with as many people as possible, people of importance, in order to bring back that knowledge to Canada and see what we can improve. And
People of importance. So who? Like, since she's not interested in the
would
politics.
do better in Canada. Like I met with Nathan Sharansky.
Oh, okay. He is, if you ever hear the 3D formula, it is very common amongst pro-Israel propagandists who are trying to define opposition to Zionism as anti-Semitic. It was invented by Nathan Sharansky.
And obviously the survivor that we met with, Adele, and actually I went to the IDF spokesperson bureau as well to meet with them and see what we can do.
Wow, I mean, not that she's interested in the politics.
So many other people as well, but yeah, it was just fear. No.
So she met Daniel Hagari, the guy who was pointing at a calendar and going, "This is a terror list. This is the rota of terrorists in this hospital. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't care about you. Friday, I'm in love."
And now it's 2025, and you're still fighting the same battle. In Israel, there's a war going on. There's still hostages. Unbelievable. 550 plus.
I wonder if anything else is going on, guys.
Days. You have been fighting your own battle, a community-wide battle.
God.
For the last.
Like, I have had dodgier experiences in Montreal just fucking getting drunk in Faubourg Saint-Laurent than she has had in this fucking battle that she's in.
Last 550 plus days. Where does it go? Where does it end? How do you...
Yeah, what is your final solution, so to speak?
At some point, closure or peace with your peers on campus.
So it ends when people take accountability and people enforce the rules that already exist, or we have to make new rules as well. It ends when Jewish students are being treated the same way as every other student, because right now, that's what's driving me every day.
But, I mean, she hasn't come up with an example of that happening either. I mean, apart from the fact that, I mean, she has a racist campus group. I mean, an explicitly racist campus group. It is, Startup Nation. And they're allowed to operate on campus. I would imagine, normally, your race hate groups probably don't get to just have a local campus chapter officially recognized by the university.
I see that Jewish people don't get treated the same way as everybody else. The laws suddenly don't apply to Jewish students when they get attacked. But when...
Oh, well, by the cops mostly, when Jewish students are protesting against the genocide you're supporting.
Anybody else would commit a crime and throw rocks at buildings at McGill or Concordia, they would be arrested. Why suddenly a pro-Hamas student not getting arrested? Yeah,
because if there's one thing that never happens, it's pro-Palestinian students getting arrested. I mean, the cops just never...
Why is it that it's been almost a year and a half since the November 8th incident where people were getting punched and thrown and harassed and threatened for their lives and not...
It's interesting that there's not... I mean, the press accounts I've seen don't really describe it this way.
One student expelled. No, 1 degree being revoked.
Hey, Adam.
The time when things are gonna get back to normal is the time when people start taking accountability and people start taking the right action.
It's interesting because, of course, she means other people. She's not talking about, like, possibly any accountability for her. I mean, she's part of an explicitly pro-genocide group. She brought perpetrators into the fucking university. Like, I mean, she has done all sorts of deliberately provocative things, and she pretends that she's as innocent abroad. Oh, I don't know anything about the politics. I was just bringing these IDF soldiers who are doing fucking genocide, not to talk about the genocide they were doing. They're going to talk about their diplomacy. I didn't think that that would be a problem. It's like, I mean, I don't... O lo es o se hace.
And those people are going to be the administration, the government, on all levels, municipal, provincial, and federal. And that we see that Jewish people are the same, are have to be treated the same as everybody else.
But she has not provided an example of that not happening.
So, yeah.
Did you lose a lot of friends throughout this process?
Yes, I did. And I actually didn't think about them when I lost them. Because I lost you because of this, you weren't my friend in the first place, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't stay with me in my genocide era, then I don't need you in my something not as fucking horrible as that era. Like...
So, I kept in contact with my closest friends. Actually, my best friend's actually not Jewish as well. My friend Emma's not Jewish.
And I mean, it's probably anti-Semitic as hell.
I visit her in Italy. My friend Tiniest is not Jewish, and he's one of my closest friends. It's really, yeah, it's really about the people who understand who you are and don't judge you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad that people get so judgmental. You support one genocide. You bring, 3 war criminals to have a meet and greet, and people get angry at you, and you lose friends over that. That's so fucked up that people are so judgmental.
And is it fair
This is my emotional support genocide, guys.
to say that you can be anti-Semitic, not anti-Zionist, or anti-Zionist and not anti-Semitic? Because as a Jew who's asking you that question, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, well, then you are anti-Semitic. Zionism is an anti-Semitic ideology, and the idea of equating all Jews with Zionism, a movement in which Jews have always been the minority. I mean, that is deeply anti-Semitic, actually, what he just said.
Yes.
They go hand in hand, however way you cut it. Are you one of those people who feels they can be separated?
Absolutely not. It can never be separated. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism is the same thing.
That's so funny because there are so many deeply anti-Semitic people who are very pro-Zionist. Like one of the fucking white Afrikaners who's supposed refugees who came over.
Israel is the only Zionist state. It's the only Jewish state.
Yeah, no, it is not a Jewish state. There's no such thing as a Jewish state. It is a Zionist state, and it sucks. And most Jews do not live in Israel, it's worth noting. And if anything, the majority of Jews who are not living in Israel is growing.
So how come you're being anti-Zionist but are against the only Jewish state in this whole world?
Because Zionism is a racist ideology that sucks shit.
Like, it's just the simplest analogy, and I always think about it. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Zionism, the only Jewish state, you're anti.
Well, this is the quality of pro-Israel propaganda on Concordia. Like, she literally cannot come up with a coherent explanation of this.
Anti-Semitic. It's that simple. So, absolutely not. It cannot be separated. And people here are trying to separate it. Students here are trying to separate it.
Yeah, because a lot of people, including a lot of Jews, don't like the idea of being, held to ransom by this fucking ideology.
Our administration is trying to separate it. Actually, we have at Concordia, we have this Strive task force to fight the hate on campus. And they have an anti-Semitism task force and an Islamophobia and Arab hate task force. It's one task force. So it's Arab hate and Islamophobia and just anti-Semitism on the other.
Yeah, you understand that there's a difference there.
In a way, okay, I agree that anti-Semitism is its own thing, but in anti-Semitism, they should include anti-Zionism as well as the core of the problem, and they never speak about Zionism.
Yeah, good. That's good that they don't. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that they don't. They shouldn't.
Because what do we expect from them?
Like, wow, she sucks at this, and I'm so glad to see that Israel's so poorly represented in Concordia.
Because what do we expect is not an answer. Why?
Yeah, I know. Even he's like, that's no fucking answer.
You've been fighting this battle for 2 years. You have to.
Because it's artificial. Listen, they're gonna open a task force and not enforce their rules every single day when people are storming campus. Literally, we have hundreds of people storming campus on like monthly, weekly basis with their signs, screaming with their megaphones.
It's called protesting.
But this task force is gonna solve everything. I'm not gonna be focusing on this task force when literally the
Yeah, like she's just dodged the question. Like, this is a basic question. This is not a hostile interviewer, Adam. I think, assuming that you just got here, this guy is not a hostile interviewer. This guy is a pro-Israel interviewer who is trying his best to make it seem like this head of a campus pro-Israel organization has been through the wars, and he's not succeeded very much because she cannot actually point to any really even mildly scary experience she's had. But now even he has to say, wait a second, you're not answering the question. Like, the most basic fucking thing, if you're going to try to make, I mean, I agree, it's a bullshit argument. And she should be sitting here. I mean, look, what is she, like 22 or something? I don't know. She looks fairly young. She's young enough, maybe she can actually have an epiphany. People have had them later than their 20s, fuck knows. And realize that the reason that she cannot come up with a coherent argument to justify the anti-Semitic equation of Zionism and anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism is that that's bullshit. I don't see any sign that but the fact that she can't, like, come up with a coherent reason that is so, to the extent of disappointing the guy she's talking to.
Was in front of them. Actually, a few weeks ago, this is really crazy. A few weeks ago, there was a huge protest planned against the administration after the BDS vote at Concordia. There was a BDS vote where there were 58 students who voted against BDS, and we were there to vote against BDS, and about 885 students who voted for BDS.
Yay! Good.
And the following step for them
Concordia.
was bringing it to the Board of Governors of Concordia. So they planned a huge protest on one of the days in February to bring it to Concordia. Concordia fully blocked with all of its security, the administration building. Fully blocked. No one can get in, no one can get out. Why don't you do that for the students?
Hey, Adam, yeah. Yeah, I know. It really does. I mean, it just shows up. This is what they've got coming up. They're not sending us their best.
Why don't you do that for the building where most classes take place, the hall building, and students are literally going to be getting attacked, screamed at, and harassed because of these crazy people?
I wonder, like, just to play fucking devil's advocate, if maybe they might have a point.
But you would block your own building. So you have that building.
Like, we've been watching this whole thing, and in 40 minutes, they have successfully avoided actually talking about the elephant in the room, which is what these protests are about. I mean, it is absolutely wild how they've managed to create this, like, bubble universe, in which, like, what's actually going on that has led people to protest is just, like, not even a shadow of a memory.
To enforce the rules when it comes to you and not to the students.
It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of desire.
Exactly.
Well, it seems like the desire is there because they're, like, I mean, the reason they had to have a huge protest about the BDS vote is because they knew Concordia was not going to want to divest from genocide. But I just noticed the time, and it is time to be wrapping up. Thank you to everyone who joined in. It's always good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed watching this, like, buck wild attempt to make like being a student in Montreal seem like being a pro-Israel student in Montreal seem like the most dangerous thing in the world. I will be back next week on Friday at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Je ne parlo arabe. No puc. And I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, we'll always have the Discord.